I'm going to show all the things that helped me go from 0 to $1 million at age 21, and now the habits and routines that I'm implementing to scale our company to $10 million a year. The stuff that I'm sharing with you, I've spent actually hundreds of thousands of dollars to learn some of this information, so copy these systems, go make a bunch of money. So number 1, routine. I am not a strict person when it comes to my routine. A lot of people really subscribe to the bro CEO morning routine where you get up at 4:30 in the morning and then you like electrocute yourself for 25 minutes and then you like go in a cold plunge and then you like force yourself to read 5 chapters of a book and then you run 600 miles. I'm not super interested in doing that. What I do is instead of having a super set time and amounts of time that it's going to take me to do things and a redundant schedule day after day, I instead have daily targets of things that I want to tick off. So I want to work out and get some sort of movement in during the day. I want to check in with our team on a daily basis and make sure that they have everything that they need. I want to make sure that all of our clients are doing great on a daily basis. I need to do something to move the needle forward in terms of marketing or sales, and then do something for either myself or our house or another business or something that we're working on. So like today, we were working on putting an offer in on another house. We invest in real estate and do a bunch of other things outside of the business. This house isn't an investment though, it's for us, but nonetheless. I just have a bunch of things that I want to get done in a day, and if I check them all off throughout the day, then I'm happy. I'm not trying to hold myself to try to work out first thing in the morning and then do this thing and then do this thing and then do this thing. I will do what makes sense for me. If I am super tired and I sleep in a little bit that day, then I'm going to work out in the evening. Now that I'm saying it out loud, I'm realizing I kind of have 2 separate schedules. So I have my early morning routine and then I have my later morning routine. So if I'm going to sleep in a little bit more, then what I'm going to focus on first is the business and then do personal stuff after. But if I have more of an early morning, then I'll do personal stuff first and then the business stuff after. And like I said, it works really well for me to just kind of have set targets that I want to hit in a day, but not necessarily a super strict schedule or routine of how I'm going to get those done. Now, when it comes to time saving, I'm a huge fan of ClickUp. ClickUp runs my entire life, personal and business. And so something that has been huge for me just for my mental health and for my ability to be productive and move the needle forward in the business is making sure that when we do our quarterly planning meetings that we actually map out every single task that needs to happen for those targets for the quarter, and we set dates, timelines, we assign it to the right person, and all of that's preset. So that way, for the rest of the quarter, I have an auto-populated to-do list of everything that needs to be done on a given day, and I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to use any brain power. I just have to check off the things on the list that we've already strategized, already planned, and then I know that the needle's being moved, that the business is moving forward, that it's growing, that it's developing, and I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to think too hard about it because I already did that. It's all set up. I know that if I tick off my things every day, then we're going to get where I want to be, and it's really great. The other thing that I'll talk about in terms of time saving is hiring team members. I think that I go about hiring team members maybe in a different way than other people. So what you'll see a lot of business owners do is they decide that they want to start doing something for their business, so they'll hire somebody to start doing that thing for their business. So instead what I'll do is I will hire somebody to do something that I'm already doing in the business, and then I will take on the task of doing that new thing until we get it to a point where it makes sense to hire somebody. What do I mean by that? An example of this, when we were more of a baby business and I was taking a lot of the sales calls, but what I wanted to do was really ramp up our content production. So instead of hiring a social media manager, which would be most people's knee-jerk reaction, I looked elsewhere in the business to see where I could pull more time from so that I could devote the time to learning that skill. Because the thing is that if you don't have that skill, it's difficult to know what good looks like when you're hiring an expert. And so when it comes to outsourcing and hiring a social media manager or hiring a web designer or a copywriter, if you don't have the basics of what it looks like to be successful in that role and know how to do it at a base level, then you're going to have a really hard time hiring somebody that's actually going to be effective and not just spinning your wheels. So what I'll do is I'll look elsewhere to find that time. So if I know that I want to move the needle forward with our marketing, instead of hiring somebody for marketing, what I'm going to do is determine how I can free up that time in other ways. So what I did in that instance was I looked at hiring somebody to come onto our sales team that could take all of the calls that I was taking, and that freed up 4, 5, 6 hours a day of my time, where I was then able to devote more of that time to marketing. And that was a lot more successful because I know more about the business than anyone else because I'm the founder. I was able to really dive into that and double down on those processes and those systems to where when I bring somebody on, I know more and I know enough to know what good should look like in that role. And I also have basics that I can train them on. And then of course I'm looking for somebody who is more experienced than me, but you don't really know if somebody's more experienced than you or if they're just like blowing hot air until you have a little bit of experience in that topic. So that's how I go about hiring. Now, number 3 is looking at leveraging time. So just like when you're leveraging yourself within real estate, you want to leverage yourself within your business. So you're kind of hedging your bets with what you're going to spend time on and what you are really going to make sure that you are focusing your time on. And what I've learned, and I'm going to say this, and it was said to me over and over, and it took a long time for it to click, so I don't expect this to click for you right away. But when you get to a certain point in your business, you no longer build the business, you build the team that builds the business. And where I was for the longest time is I thought I was doing that. I was building the team, but what I was doing instead of building the team was I was building the team and then I was stepping in and jumping in if something wasn't done exactly right, and I was just plugging all of the holes. And I was plugging the holes by doing it myself rather than teaching those team members to plug the holes for me. So I was stretching myself very thin, and I was in that situation where I was like, man, I could do this faster if I just did it myself, right? If you are saying that to yourself, or, I could do this better, then you're not training your team effectively. That's still a you problem. And so what I learned was, instead of, me jumping in and taking the sales calls if the close rate wasn't where I wanted it to be, then I needed to review those phone calls, give feedback to the closers and develop them so that the close rate was where I wanted it to be. So instead of me looking at ways that I could fill the gaps, I want to leverage other people's time and be as precise as I can with myself. So when it comes to my own time in the business, I'm not spending very much time in the day-to-day, like logistical or tangible tasks. I'm more so looking at a high level of like, okay, here's all the moving parts that need to happen to complete these tasks. Rather than me doing the tasks, I'm going to help the team be at the level they need to be at to do those tasks, because them doing it, when they're doing it, then instead of me doing the task, I can move on to the next thing. And so I'm able to prioritize that way and move from thing to thing a lot faster in the business and stay at a high level and kind of look at the macro of what's happening rather than really zooming in on the micro and getting lost in the weeds. So learning how to actually train and lead and develop the people on the team rather than just developing the skills and then trying to come in and row the boat myself has been a huge takeaway for myself. If you'd like to learn more about our advisory offers and how we help people just like yourself scale with organic social media that's backed by sales psychology so you don't have to run any ads, be sure to check out our links in the description below so you can binge, get inside our world, and get connected with us.